Hassan Emilio Caban de Leija, better known as Peso Pluma, is a Mexican singer and songwriter born on June 15, 1999 in Zapopan, Popayan, Jalisco. His music belongs to the Mexican regional genre, especially to the corriente of the corridos tumbados, while also incorporating elements of Latin trap and reggaeton. But that is not specifically what brings us here today. Instead, we will take a walk through his career, a career full of achievements, but also controversies and murky events. Peso Pluma was born into a family of Mexican roots. His mother is originally from Badiraguato, from Sinaloa, and of Lebanese descent, which explains his uncommon first name. He grew up in Guadalajara, Jalisco, and since he was a child, he showed a liking for music. At 15 years old, he taught himself to play the guitar by watching videos on YouTube. In his teenage years, he lived for a time in San Antonio, in Texas, where he learned English within the local Chicano community. This bilingual and bicultural experience influenced his musical perspective. Since his high school years, Hassan wrote songs in a diary as a form of personal expression, becoming the subject of ridicule from his classmates for dreaming of being a singer. However, he turned that writing into motivation and he continued refining his lyrics. There, I wrote about how I felt. I realized that some things rhymed. I kept practicing and improved over time. He recalled about those beginnings. His musical inclination took a definitive shape upon discovering that his voice fit better with corridos than with other genres. I always listened to reggaeton, hip-hop, but I realized that my voice was made for singing corridos. It shone differently in that style than in any other genre, the artist himself explained. At the same time, he declared himself a fan of rap. His favorite artist is Drake, and he also admires figures like The Weeknd, Post Malone, or Swizz Beatz, the White Boys, reflecting an eclectic taste that he would later incorporate into his own musical style. The nickname Peso Pluma emerged shortly before launching his career. Hassan revealed that, during an interview, he met Mexican boxer Marco Antonio Barrera, multiple world champion in the featherweight category, and that encounter seemed like a sign to him that he too would become someone famous. He decided to adopt that stage name as his own. In honor of the boxing category, it is worth mentioning that another version circulates among his friends, indicating that the nickname might refer to marijuana feathers and his slim build, jokingly tied to his fondness for that herb. However, the official explanation is the one related to boxing, with that distinctive alias and supported by his cousin Rocky. Roberto Tito Leija, aka Canne, Tave Fetiesa, aka Tito Double P. Peso Pluma began composing and taking music seriously at the end of the decade of 2010. In 2020, Peso Pluma started his recording career professionally. He debuted by releasing a live album, Attempted Live Album, on February 21st, 2020. Under the small independent label, El Cartel de Los Ángeles. A month later, on April 20th, 2020, he released his first studio album called Ah, ¿Y qué?, edited by the same label. This album included his first original songs, I Light Up a Blunt, and Then Take a Hit from a Bomb. The friends arrived with a switcher in hand, and it allowed him to start gaining an audience in the local corrido scene, in Nasafuno Terotafia. In October 2020, he presented his first promotional single, Relajado Boy, recorded in collaboration with the group Decreto Real. By the end of that year, he also had a live album, Volume 2. In 2, adding live material to his initial repertoire. On March 19, 2021, Peso Pluma released his second studio album, Efectos Secundarios, which included singles like Mil Historias. Although these early songs went relatively unnoticed on a national level, he continued working on his sound. On June 11, 2021, he released the song Por las Noches, a sierreña ballad that initially had modest success, but over time proved to be a sleeper hit, a late-blooming success important in his career. In fact, by the Nights would eventually give him his first solo entry on the Billboard Hot 100 list in the United States, months later. After that release, Peso Pluma left the Los Angeles label. His last single with that company was Todo Es. In July of 2021, he then signed with the firm Bragging Music Group, seeking greater professional opportunities. At the end of 2021 and the beginning of 2022, Peso Pluma began to gain more traction in the regional Mexican scene thanks to key collaborations. In April of 2022, he released the EP Sembrando, which included the single El Belicón. El Belicón, released at the beginning of 2022 in collaboration with the corrido singer Raúl Vega. El Belicón sold 480,000 copies in the United States, obtaining an 8-time platinum certification, Latin by the RIAA, making it Peso Pluma's best-selling song up to that point. Thanks to this track, Peso Pluma's name started gaining significant recognition among fans of regional Mexican music in Mexico and the Latino community in the United States. From that moment, Peso Pluma released several popular singles in 2022, together with the artists Tornillo and Polo Gonzalez, a track recorded for the video game Free Fire. On August 15, 2022, he released Siempre Pendientes as a duet with Luis R. Conríquez, a corrido tumbado that quickly amassed plays and earned him recognition as one of the new prominent figures in the genre. The song caused controversy because its lyrics referenced the initials JG, El Chapo GL, allusion to the drug trafficker Joaquín El Chapo Guzmán, which some media pointed out as possible glorification of crime. In fact, the official video of Siempre Pendientes, it was removed from YouTube days after its release due to these complaints, although the platform later re-enabled it months later. Despite the controversy, the song continued to gain listeners and solidified Peso Pluma among the new generation of corrido artists. In October 2022, once again, with Luis R. Conríquez, he participated in El Gavilán, another crime-themed corrido that achieved wide reach, surpassing 200 million plays on digital platforms. By the end of 2022, Peso Pluma was already emerging as a revelation in regional Mexican music, garnering millions of streams. In January, Peso Pluma released Pero 13 with Natanael Cano, which debuted in the top 10 on the Billboard Hot 100. He also participated in EDC Mexico with Marshmello and Jesus Ortiz Paz. The track AMG with Natanael Cano and Gabito Ballesteros debuted on the Hot 100, and El Azul with Junior H reached number 6 on that list. In February, he released the remix of Por las Noches with Nicki Nicole. On March 16th, El Ava came out. Baila Sola with Eslabón Armado, a song that took him to number 1 globally on Spotify and number 4 on the Billboard Hot 100. The 100 being the first time a Mexican artist achieved that. In April, he founded his record label, Double P Records, and Maesitamaos. He released Rosa Pastel with Yaciel Núñez. He also appeared on The Tonight Show starring Jimmy Fallon, being the first Mexican regional artist to perform there. In May, he collaborated with Eladio Carrión on 77. He released Bye. He premiered the Visa Rap Music Sessions number 55 with Arandatsai. In June, Plevada with El Alfa was released, and his third studio album, Genesis, which debuted at number 3 on the Billboard 200. In February 2024, he won the Grammy for Best Mexican Music Album for Genesis, being the first young Mexican artist to achieve it. He continued releasing singles and international collaborations, consolidating his position as an icon of new Mexican music. On June 20th, he released his fourth album, Éxodo, a double project with 24 songs, one album dedicated to corridos tumbados and another to trap reggaeton. He collaborated with artists like Natanael Cano, Luis R. Conríquez, Junior H, Cardi B, Anita, Arcángel, Ryan Castro, and DJ Snake. Snake started the Éxodo tour with performances in Mexico and the United States. He was the first Mexican artist to reach number 1 globally on Spotify in weekly streams and the first to surpass 30 million monthly listeners on that platform. In May, in Mexico, he dominated the top 50 with multiple songs simultaneously during 2023 and ended that year as one of the most listened to artists in the country. Alongside his meteoric rise, Peso Pluma has faced various controversies primarily related to the themes of his songs and drug trafficking violence in Mexico. Since his beginnings, he has been distinguished by singing war ballads or narco corridos, that is, compositions that narrate the adventures of characters in organized crime, a traditionally controversial branch of regional Mexican music. In 2022, in an interview with the media outlet Soy Grupero, the singer openly acknowledged that he has composed corridos on commission, writing songs dedicated to specific drug traffickers when requested. The world of the corridos tumbados is like that, he explained bluntly. When referring to this practice, several of his most popular songs include direct references to figures of the narco. For example, Siempre Pendientes mentions Joaquín El Chapo Guzmán, while El Belicón relates the capture and release of Ovidio Guzmán López, son of El Chapo. El Chapo during the events known as the Culiacanazo. While these themes connect with certain audiences, they have also attracted criticism from sectors that believe they glorify crime. One of the consequences of this was the cancellation of their participation in a major international festival. In early 2024, Peso Pluma was confirmed to perform at the prestigious Viña del Mar Festival in Panupusata Arsani Cosabata Fontalaya in Chile. However, strong opposition arose from a sector of the public and even from Chilean authorities due to the content of their lyrics, accused of promoting narco-cultura. Under that pressure, Peso Pluma cancelled his show at Viña del Mar 2024, thus avoiding a possible massive booing or public order problems. Another major controversy occurred in September 2023, when Peso Pluma received direct threats from organized crime. Days before a concert scheduled in Tijuana, narco banners appeared, signs placed clandestinely at various points in the city, warning that if the singer performed, it would be Pandana, Fanmavanmana, Afianda Fafanathia. It would be his last show. The banners were allegedly signed by members of the Jalisco New Generation Cartel, CJNG, a criminal group operating in the area, annoyed by Peso Pluma's laudatory references toward leaders of the rival cartel, the one from Sinaloa, where El Chapo is from. Months later, at the beginning of 2025, another accusation emerged tied to the world of drug trafficking, this time in the state of Sinaloa. In January of 2025, during the violent internal dispute between factions of the Sinaloa cartel, the sons of El Chapo Guzman, known as the Chapos II, the Chapitos, versus the followers of Ismael El Mayo. Leaflets were dropped from a small airplane over the city of Culiacan, accusing several people of being part of the support network of Los Chapitos. Among the names mentioned in those pamphlets was Peso Pluma, accusing him of collaborating in money laundering for the group Los Chapitos. These flyers, attributed to the rival faction Los Mayos, included photos and names of supposed financiers of Los Chapitos, urging the population not to support them or consume their content. Alongside Peso Pluma, they also mentioned the well-known influencer, Marquito, toys and other figures. Although these accusations came from the criminals themselves and not from formal authorities, they reflect the extent to which the singer has become involved in the narrative of drug trafficking in the eyes of some. It is worth noting that several of Peso Pluma's songs indeed allude to members of Los Chapitos. For example, Igualito a mi Apa and El Azul refer to El Chapo's sons, and El Gran Gavilan mentions Don Ivan Archibaldo Guzman, which fuels those perceptions. Until March of 2025, Peso Pluma does not face legal charges for these issues, but insinuations and threats from the narco environment have surrounded his figure worryingly. In February of 2025, Infobay reported that the United States government would be investigating Peso Pluma for alleged indirect ties with organized crime, specifically with the Chapitos faction of the Sinaloa cartel. According to sources cited by the media, Peso Pluma has been detained and questioned several times by U.S. authorities when trying to enter the country for appearances or events. Although he is not formally accused of any crime, the singer has been under observation due to the narrative in his songs and the alleged connections of people in his circle with criminal groups. Beyond the issue of drug trafficking, Peso Pluma has also had media clashes with other artists or public figures. Although generally minor, the relationship between Peso Pluma and Bad Bunny has been marked by moments of tension and reconciliation. In a live performance, Peso Pluma made derogatory comments towards Bad Bunny, referring to him offensively and highlighting that his own song had surpassed those of the Puerto Rican artist in popularity. This incident generated a wave of criticism on social media. Subsequently, Peso Pluma offered a public apology, attributing his words to a state of excitement and clarifying that he did not intend to offend, recognizing even that he frequently listens to Bad Bunny's music. The relationship between Peso Pluma and Jesus Ortiz Paz, leader of Fuerza Regida, has gone from a successful collaboration to growing tension that has captured attention in the Mexican regional scene. In 2022, both artists joined forces in the song Igualita, alongside My Dad, achieving notable success that strengthened their positions within the genre. However, tensions began to arise after Fuerza Regida released the track TQM, whose stylistic similarity and title directly reminded of previous hits by Peso Pluma, like PRQ, Afyanamgi. This situation provoked a strong reaction from Peso Pluma on social media, where he stated, "Imitations are not accepted. Copycats are not welcome." The conflict escalated publicly when Jesus Ortiz Paz, during a concert, claimed that the worst enemy of a Mexican is another Mexican. Additionally, he expressed discontent because Peso Pluma stopped performing the collaboration live. Middle finger to My Dad. Peso Pluma, for his part, clarified that he chose his repertoire based on the audience's preferences. Another controversy arose when Jay Cortez, nay, de Adese Copesha Pecas, Yaiko, who was initially going to collaborate with Jesus Ortiz Paz and Chino Pacas, ultimately decided to release the song Ex Special with Peso Pluma. Excluding the others, they released the song Que Onda on the 30th of August 2023, along with Cali 24, generating controversy due to its stylistic and thematic similarity with X Special. The rivalry continued with musical innuendos. On the 22nd of June 2023, Peso Pluma released his album Genesis, visually characterized by the color purple and a spider. That same day, Fuerza Regida presented Sabora, the Fresa, whose video shows Jesus Ortiz Paz crushing a purple spider, interpreted as a direct message to Peso Pluma. Despite the tensions, in October 2024, Jesus Ortiz Paz surprised with a public invitation directed at Peso Pluma, Natanael Cano, and Junior Sanchez to collaborate together and change the history of Mexican music, suggesting a possible future reconciliation. After his appearance on The Tonight Show, without Eslabon Armado, some criticized him for not inviting Pedro Tovar, composer and singer of Ella Baila Sola, quien propatio suntakin per vale sika. Televisión. Tovar expressed on social media his annoyance for not receiving credit live, saying that the song is 100% his. Peso Pluma quickly settled the matter at one of his concerts, publicly giving credit to Pedro. The gossip will always be there, but give credit where it's due, and that's Pedro, who wrote the song. A greeting for him to keep breaking records, he declared from the stage, showing respect towards his colleague and calming the controversy. In June 2024, during a promotional interview for the release of his album Double Exodus, Peso Pluma caused a stir by calling himself the superhero and savior of regional Mexican music. In his own words, he stated something like, "I was the one who saved regional Mexican music. Nobody was taking it to a global level until I arrived." These statements generated a strong negative reaction on social media and among colleagues in the genre. Many considered his words arrogant and lacking humility, especially since regional Mexican music has had important exponents for decades, such as Vicente Fernandez, Joan Sebastian, Jenny Rivera, among others. Although Peso Pluma was already recognized for his impact on the internationalization of the corrido tumbado, many artists and fans felt that he had taken credit for an entire generation and musical tradition. Some defended him, arguing it was an exaggerated expression out of enthusiasm, while others saw it as disrespectful to those who paved the way before him. Likewise, some commentators have questioned the phenomenon of Peso Pluma and the glorification of narco life in his lyrics. For example, activist Brian LeBaron criticized his appearance on American TV, saying, "It should be a warning sign that this type of music is at the top worldwide. It talks about a deeply rooted crime culture that is even considered aspirational." Peso Pluma has defended himself by arguing that, in the end, it's music and that corridos are not very different from what rap or reggaeton narrate in their own lyrics. In fact, he has said that corridos have always been heavily criticized and demonized, but he limits himself to telling stories and passions through his art. Lastly, his peculiar personal style has also been the subject of controversy in unexpected circles. In 2023, the Peso Pluma haircut became popular among young people. A modern mullet look that many fans began to imitate. This led to some schools in Mexico prohibiting students from wearing the Peso Pluma hairstyle for being considered inappropriate. The most talked about case was that of a Conalep school in Coahuila, where they even denied entry to students with that hairstyle. The news went viral and sparked debate among parents, teachers, and social media users. Far from being offended, Peso Pluma reacted with humor upon finding out. He posted a meme of Mike Wazowski, a character from Monsters, pink with a puzzled expression, mocking the situation. With this, he conveyed his surprise at the measure, taking it as a joke. This colorful anecdote shows how the impact of Peso Pluma goes beyond music, reaching even to influence youth trends and unsettle more conservative sectors. In early 2023, rumors emerged, later confirmed, of a romance between Peso Pluma and the Argentine singer Nicki Nicole, a well-known figure in Latin trap. Both artists posted hints and photos together on social media, making their relationship official, which lasted for several months between 2023 and 2024. The relationship between Nicki Nicole and Peso Pluma ended in February 2024, after the release of a video showing the Mexican singer in a close manner with another woman in a Las Vegas casino. Shortly after the Super Bowl, Nicki Nicole confirmed the breakup through her social media, expressing her disappointment and emphasizing the importance of respect in a relationship. Subsequently, Nicki Nicole spoke about the difficulty of handling such a personal situation under public scrutiny, thanking her followers for their support. As for Hair, Featherweight remained silent about the controversy and did not delete the photos with Nicki Nicole from his social media, which generated various speculations among his followers. It is important to highlight that, although various versions and opinions about this separation have been spread, the information presented here is based on public statements from those involved and reports from recognized media, and Nicki Nicole was not the only woman he was sentimentally linked with. In October of 2024, the Mexican singer, Peso Pluma, was seen in Paris, accompanied by Diana Rosalía Esparragosa, a 26-year-old Mexican influencer. Diana is known for sharing images of her travels to destinations such as New York, Istanbul, and in Dubai, reflecting a luxurious lifestyle. It generated controversy because Diana is cited in various media as the granddaughter of Juan José Esparragosa Moreno, also known as El Chavo del Ocho, El Azul, one of the founders of the Sinaloa cartel. Although neither Peso Pluma nor Diana have publicly confirmed their relationship, images of them strolling together in the French capital fueled speculation. Influencer Priscilla Escoto, a close friend of Diana, seemed to confirm the romance through a video on TikTok, where she hinted that her friend had started a new relationship with a good guy in Paris, leaving behind a previous relationship. It is important to note that, although these versions have circulated in various media and social networks, to date, there is no official confirmation from those involved about the nature of their relationship or Diana Esparragosa's family ties. And it seems that this was just an adventure for Peso Pluma, since today he is linked with Kenya Os. Rumors of a possible romance began in January 2025, when both artists were seen together and being affectionate during the Pegasus World Cup Invitational in Miami. This closeness sparked speculations about a relationship beyond friendship. The connection between Peso Pluma and Kanye West was strengthened after their collaboration on the song Tommy and Pamela, released in July of 2024 as part of Peso Pluma's album Éxodo. In this song, both artists portray the controversial celebrity couple Tommy Lee and Pamela Anderson, showing notable chemistry both in the song and in the music video. In February 2025, during Super Bowl 54, held at the Caesars Superdome in New Orleans, the couple was caught sharing affectionate gestures and a kiss, which practically confirmed their relationship to the public. Later, Peso Pluma openly expressed his affection towards Kanye West on social media. In a post by the singer on Instagram, he commented, during the promotion of her documentary, La OG, in March of 2025, pues perfecta, she stated, I can tell you that I am very happy, very grateful at this moment, very pleased in this area of my personal life. I am having an incredible time. It is evident that the relationship between Peso Pluma and Kanye West has evolved from a professional collaboration to a significant personal bond, which has generated great interest among their followers and in the entertainment industry. Lastly, one of the greatest collaborations. Musically speaking, it happened recently, and I'm talking about the one with Peso Pluma and Kanye West. Despite West's controversies, this collaboration raised expectations. In May of 2024, Peso Pluma participated with Kanye West and Ty Dolla $ign in the song Gimme a Second Too, led by Rich the Kid. This track combined characteristic elements of corridos tumbados with rap. Later, in August 2024, Peso Pluma collaborated on the song Drunk with Kodak Black as part of the digital deluxe edition of the album Vultures 2, a joint project by Kanye West and Ty Dolla $ign. Dolla $ign. This collaboration solidified Peso Pluma's presence on the international scene. In March of 2025, Kanye West announced his upcoming album titled Bully, which includes the song Last Breath, in collaboration with Peso Pluma. The most notable aspect of this track is that West performs parts in Spanish, merging his style with that of Peso Pluma, and I saved the most controversial part for last. And this is it. The relationship between Peso Pluma and Natanael Cano has been a roller coaster. It started with mutual respect and collaboration, and ended marked by tensions, indirect remarks, and dark rumors, collaborations, and mutual praise. Both artists were pioneers of the corridos tumbados genre. They shared credits on hits like AMG and PR that positioned them as leaders of the movement and solidified a strong professional friendship. During 2022 and 2023, Peso Pluma spoke with admiration of Natanael Cano. In interviews, he described him as the artist who paved the way for the genre. Natanael was the first to do it. He was the one who broke down the doors. I'm coming after. Grateful for what he started, even in concerts. Peso Pluma used to thank him publicly, and on social media, they tagged each other with phrases like the old and the new school. Everything indicated a relationship of respect and recognition, the distancing. However, at the beginning of 2025, everything changed. On February 19th, fans noticed that both stopped following each other on Instagram. What set off alarms of a rift? A few days later, Natanael Cano posted song excerpts with clear digs at Peso Pluma, including a controversial line where he mentions Nicki Nicole, Peso Pluma's ex-girlfriend, insinuating a relationship with her. She was asking me to see your pin, girl Nicki, like if when I flew her to Hermosillo to put the whole D. The tension escalated when rumors of ties with drug trafficking emerged. It was said that Peso Pluma was linked to the Chapitos, sons of Chapo Guzman, while Natanael Cano was said to have connections with the Salvatrucha, Fate, a rival faction within the Sinaloa cartel. This supposed opposing affiliation would have fueled the rivalry, both musical and personal. In January 2025, Natanael Cano received direct threats from a group identified as Jalisco Matasalas, apparently linked to Los Chapitos. For this reason, the authorities in Sonora offered him state protection, raising the severity of the conflict. These are mere speculations. There is also the version that it is merely a marketing strategy, but further information is unknown. Likewise, this doesn't change the fact that Peso Pluma has achieved in a few years what takes many artists decades: multiple global number ones, breaking language barriers, collaborating with international superstars, and setting musical and stylistic trends. His career exemplifies the new era of Mexican music, where tradition and modernity converge, and where a corrido can play in a truck in Sinaloa, as well as in a nightclub in New York. With new projects underway, and at just 25 years old, Peso Pluma continues writing his story, and his lasting impact on the Mexican music industry is already unquestionable.